Hi everyone, my name is Megan and today I'm going to do a bargain book haul. I feel like the only thing better than buying books is buying cheap books, and so that's what I'm going to talk about today. I bought some bargain books from two different places. One is my local Books A Million. If you have a Books A Million in your area, definitely check out their clearance section. They have a really great selection. And the other place my bargain books are from is Book Outlet. So let's just get started. I think in this whole haul, the most I paid for any of these books is $6. Most of the books I think are around $3 or $4 each. So while I feel kind of bad about bringing all these books in and trying to find room for them on my shelves, I don't feel so bad because I didn't spend that much money. It's okay, right? Alright, so I'm going to get started with the books that I bought from my local Books A Million. The first book that I purchased was Sourdough by Robin Sloan. First of all, this cover is quite lovely. As you can see, we have a loaf of sourdough bread in all its glory. Sourdough is about a software engineer named Lois, who for some reason is put in charge of looking after this colony of microorganisms that was used in making sourdough bread for a local bakery. The bakery closed down, but they still want the colony to live and the sourdough bread recipe to continue. So Lois starts baking loaves and selling at local farmers markets. It's here when she's kind of put into contact with a group of people who are really trying to fuse technology and food together, which I have no idea what that means, but it sounds terrifying. So this seems like it's going to be a super weird book, but I am a sucker for super weird books. Also, I read Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore a couple of years ago, which is also by Robin Sloan, and I really loved that book, so I'm excited to give another one of his books a try. The next book I picked up is The Child Finder by Renee Denfeld. I really hate to be that stereotypical person that's like, oh my gosh, look at this cover, but oh my gosh, look at this cover. The colors, the snow, just everything. It speaks to me. But the cover is actually not why I picked up this book. In this book, 5-year-old Madison suddenly disappears when she is Christmas tree shopping with her parents in the forest. After 3 years with no leads on their daughter's whereabouts, they hire a private investigator named Naomi. As Naomi is investigating what might have happened to Madison, she starts remembering things that she has never remembered before from her childhood. So this book not only follows the story of what happens to Madison, but also we get to find out what might have happened in Naomi's childhood that she has blocked out of her memory. And some reviews that I read on Goodreads stated that it was a really beautiful and lyrical read, which I really appreciate, so I'm very excited to get to this one very soon. The next book I got from Books A Million is Providence by Caroline Kepnes. Caroline Kepnes also wrote You, which I read way back when it was first released, and I really liked it when I read it. I've since watched the show, and I was not a fan of the show, and I read the book so long ago that I can't remember how accurate the TV show was to the book, but I do really remember enjoying You when I read it, and so I wanted to check out her other book, even though this one has not gotten very good reviews, but I'm still pretty interested in it. This book follows two best friends named John and Chloe who have grown up together in a small town and have been best friends pretty much their whole lives. Then suddenly John gets kidnapped and Chloe has to learn to live her life without John. John actually manages to escape, but once he escapes, he finds out that he's developed this power that puts everyone he really cares for in immediate danger, which that doesn't sound like a very useful power to me. That doesn't sound great. I am very confused about how he might have gotten this power, about what it means. I don't know, but I'm pretty intrigued to see where this one goes. And if I hate it, it was only like $3, so oh well. The last book that I purchased from Books A Million is The Remarkable Journey of Coyote Sunrise by Dan Gemeinhart. This is a middle grade novel that follows a girl named Coyote whose mother and two siblings passed away tragically in a car accident 5 years ago. Ever since her mom and siblings' death, Coyote and her father have been living in a school bus and traveling across the country. Then Coyote gets news that a park in her hometown is about to be demolished, and Coyote and her mother hid a time capsule at this park. So Coyote convinces her father to travel back to their hometown for the first time since their family died in order to retrieve this time capsule. This just sounds like a really beautiful story, and I love reading middle grade fiction. I actually am pretty sure I'm going to be doing a month coming up pretty soon where I read a bunch of middle grade that I've been meaning to get to, and this will definitely be on that TBR. All right, I'm going to move on to the stack of books that I ordered from Book Outlet. I'm sure if you watch a lot of BookTube videos, you are well aware of Book Outlet, but in case you are not, Book Outlet is a website that sells really, really cheap brand new books. They have a rotating selection and new books come in every day. They often have pretty decent new releases and bestsellers, and they have a lot of children's books and cookbooks and pretty much any type of book you can want. Like I said, all the books are super, super cheap and they're all new. I've ordered from them many, many times in the past. Book Outlet is a very dangerous place for me, but I absolutely adore it, and I've gotten so many great books from Book Outlet for really affordable prices. So let's just get into the ones I picked up in this order. The first book is one that I've had my eye on for a really long time, and that is Milkman by Anna Burns. Like it says on the cover, this book won the Man Booker Award, I think in 2018, and I've heard a lot about it. I actually have heard pretty mixed things about this one. I think it's a pretty weird book, but as I established earlier, that is definitely a positive thing for me. I don't know a whole bunch about this one, and I kind of want to go into it kind of blind. All I know is that this book takes place in a nameless small town where everyone just does their best to try to fit in. Our main character gets mixed up with some rumors involving the Milkman. I'm not entirely sure who that is, but involving the Milkman, and rumors are not a welcome thing in here since it makes you stand out. So that's basically all I know about this book, and it's all I really want to know about this one. I'm really hoping I love this one, but regardless, I am really looking forward to reading it. Next up is The Elizas by Sarah Shepard. This book follows our main character. Guess what her name is? Guess what her name is? Do you guys know what her name is? It's Eliza. Eliza is a novelist who is found at the bottom of a hotel pool. Eliza insists that she was pushed, but her family does not believe her and thinks she might have done this to get attention. But as Eliza tries to piece together who could have attacked her and pushed her into this pool, she starts to really mistrust her memory. She also starts confusing details with her life and details from her book, and the lines between fiction and reality are really blurred. I really enjoy books with unreliable narrators, and this sounds just like that, and so this sounds exactly like the type of mystery that I would really enjoy. The next book that I picked up is another really beautiful one, and that is How to Make Friends with the Dark by Kathleen Glasgow. This book has a really super short synopsis, but it's about a girl named Tiger who is dealing with the grief of recently losing her mother, who was also her best friend. I've heard nothing but absolutely fantastic things about this one. I've heard that it is heartbreaking and beautiful. I know this is going to be a really emotional read, but I definitely like having those on my shelf to pick up every once in a while. So I'm happy to have this one to pick up the next time I'm in the mood for something really, really deep and emotional. The next book I got from Book Outlet is Midnight at the Electric by Jodi Lynn Anderson. This book has a super weird and confusing synopsis, but from what I gather, this follows 3 different storylines. The first is about a girl named Adri who lives in the year 2065. She has been handpicked to help colonize Mars, but right before she leaves, she finds the diary of a girl who used to live in her house, which brings us to the second plot line. This storyline follows a girl named Catherine who lives in Kansas in 1934. Catherine lives on a farm and is dealing with the Dust Bowl that was taking place at the time, but she's also fantasizing about joining the Electric, which is a really mysterious traveling show. The third plot line takes place in England in 1919 and follows a girl named Lenore. Lenore's brother has just passed away in World War I, and she has decided to travel to America to track down one of her childhood friends. So this book follows those 3 plot lines, and I assume that all 3 plot lines are related in some way. I was actually really surprised when I got this book because it is so short. This book is like 250 pages, and that feels like a lot of material to cover in 250 pages, so I'm really interested to see how this one's going to pan out. I do know a few people who have read this one, and I've heard great things from all of them, so I'm really hoping that I will agree with them. Next is Spellbook of the Lost and Found by Moira Fowley Doyle. I read one of Moira Fowley Doyle's other books, All the Bad Apples, last year, and I really, really loved it, so I definitely was interested in picking up some of her other work. This book follows two best friends named Olive and Rose, who all of a sudden and really mysteriously start losing a lot of their belongings. They then meet three super mysterious strangers named Ivy, Rowan, and Hazel, and they all find a spell book together that is told that it will be able to hunt down lost things. That's all I know about this one. I know that Moira Fowler-Doyle's books tend to have much deeper meanings than what appears on the surface, so I'm sure there is so much to this book. I'm pretty picky when it comes to magical realism. So far, Moira Fowler-Doyle's magical realism has really worked for me, so I'm really excited to check this one out, and I'm really hoping that I love it as much as I loved her other book. Next up is As Long as We Both Shall Live by Joanne Chaney. This is one that I actually didn't know anything about before I saw it on Book Outlet, but then I read the synopsis and it sounded right up my alley. This is about a married couple named Matt and Marie who go on a hiking trip. Matt soon is urgently calling park rangers and reporting that Marie has fallen off of a cliff. Once her body is found, detectives become really suspicious of Matt and his story about what really happened, and the police are even more suspicious after they realize that this is not Matt's first marriage that has ended with a mysterious death. I absolutely adore domestic mystery thrillers, so I am really excited to have this one on my shelf. The very last book that I picked up from Book Outlet was The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. This book seems to kind of be a retelling of And Then There Were None, which I actually read earlier this month for the very first time, so I'm super excited to try this one. This book takes place in an isolated estate where some college friends have gathered to celebrate New Year's like they do every year. And then on New Year's Day, as it happens, one by one, they were murdered. I'm excited to read a book that's based off of And Then There Were None. I also tend to like books where people are like snowed in and trapped. Something about that storyline really does it for me. So this book sounds super intense and I am so excited to read it. So there you have it. Those are all the bargain books that I have bought lately. I think I did pretty well. I'm pretty pleased with all of the books that I got. If you've read any of these books, please let me know what you thought of them. Also, let me know which of these books you guys are most interested in so I know which ones to highlight in future videos. Thanks so much for watching my first ever book haul on this channel. I hope you guys enjoyed it. All of the books that I hauled will be linked in the description box below. In the description box, you'll also find a link for my Goodreads page if you'd like to follow it. And you can also follow me on Instagram, which is at Megan Likes Books, and on Twitter, which is at Meg Likes Books. Thanks again so much for tuning in today, everyone. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.